Oh, surprise visitor.
Is he on? Yeah, we wanted to ask him a question about Cassius Clay.
Jimmy surprising with a cat. John Scully, fresh off a win. Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
And Jimmy with a surprise visit. Did you ever try any of the French cuisine you were disgusted by? First of all, I know the answer's no.
Not a chance. Not a chance. No.
Doesn't know what he's missing.
I ate the same thing there that I eat here.
Bring us up to speed on your experience, what you just went through, and then I'll, throw out the question that brought you in here. I said I need to piss John off with this, but tell us about what just happened in Europe, because John you train Artur Beterbiev, right?
Assistant trainer.
And what a great opponent. Yard is an amazingly talented, hard-hitting, athletic fighter. Really, really good fight. And as the fight went on, Beterbiev did what people thought. The snake kind of coiled around and he took control and eventually got him out. But tell us about the experience, man. How did you like the whole thing from start to finish?
I mean, it was great. It's good because I got there, and it's funny because it's quite a ways away. It's Europe, but the boxing world is so small that immediately I ran into so many people, friends from the boxing world, and I really felt like I was home. And I even had, on the first day, I had a guy who I'm friends with on Facebook who I never met, and he drove like 3 hours. And he brought me boxing magazines and everything. So it was cool, man. The boxing scene over there, I think that the fans are much more devoted. It's a smaller country. So, the fighters are more well-known throughout the country than they are here. As far as the fight, I mean, it was a good fight. It went pretty much like we expected in the sense that we knew Yard is fast, and he's going to be explosive, and you got to watch out for him. And we also know that, as I've said many times, 12 rounds with Artur is a long, long time to be in the ring with that man. And it went predictably, as every round against every guy he fights, you say, well, he doesn't look as good as he did the round before. And he looks worse this round.
He grinds him down.
So Artur caught him. He ground him down and he caught him, just like we kind of figured he would.
Very accurately, systematically, and beautifully. Actually, it was. That's a tough opponent. I think Yard is about as complex of an opponent, and about as perfect an opponent as you could get leading up to that Bivol fight, because he's so athletic, quick, talented, and maybe not nearly as good of a boxer, but certainly more dangerous of a puncher.
Right. Yeah, for sure. He was a guy you had to keep your eyes open all the time. You had to pay close attention the whole fight.
Beterbiev had the best line ever after in the post interview. He goes, "I hope one day I will be a good boxer." That's what he said in the. Did you catch that in the post fight?
What is your hope? Yeah.
What is your I hope dream? One day I will be a good, and maybe I fucked up a word, but I just went,
I think he says that now and then.
Well, I don't know if I told you that, but that's his line. Like
he says that now and again. That's not the first time he said it.
In the gym, he says it every day. Like, we talk, and I'll be like, I'll tell him something. I'll show him something, like a move or something, and he'll be like, if I learn that, maybe I'll be a good boxer one day. And I'll be like, yeah, that's right. So his whole thing is, it's like a running joke, but his whole thing is he doesn't feel complete. He feels like there's more to learn.
That's it. I love that. That's the key to greatness, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
He'll be a great philosopher when his fighting days are done.
So Jimmy obviously invited you on because I was talking about. Do you guys want to bring the premise up a little bit here, or do you want me to bring it up? Well, I was talking about
just hit him with the question.
Yeah.
Well,
hit him cold.
When Ali won the title, okay, there's some controversy over the the title fight with the mob, you know, the whole thing that goes on with when Ali won the title and when Ali defended the title, the two fights. Everybody thinks the Phantom Punch with Liston were obviously these were both fights under tremendous dispute in the Ali lore, where they thought, and then later on, Liston actually said, and now keep in mind he's involved with the mob and involved with drugs or whatever, he said he was being paid off of Ali's success by taking that fall, which, you know, maybe a fighter would say that was embarrassed he lost. But considering that both fights were under so much contest, and under, you know, the overall umbrella of mob, like fight one, obviously the gloves, the eyes are under Ali, and then, you know, you'd say, hey, how could you fix a fight that Liston was putting this, you know, rubbing stuff that could get in Ali's eyes, and then Liston sits like it's a fixed fight and doesn't come out. And then fight two, the Phantom Punch, which looks like a beautiful quick punch that he couldn't see potentially, but people also were like, fix. The crowd was pissed. So why do people give Ali so much leeway when his entire championship is under that umbrella of suspicion and could have been the Muslim Brotherhood, you know, pushing their pedal? Why do they give him so much leeway on greatness? You know, he had 5-6 fights that were incredible fights afterwards that everybody would say, Lord, maybe 7, you know, whatever. But why do fans put him up at that level? And I said, this is something I want to ask Scully. How do you get, because I know you're a historian and I know that you're a purist, how do you overlook that as somebody who puts Ali as your number one?
Well, I mean, honestly, I know that the second fight is very controversial, but I don't think the first fight really, in my experience from talking to people and reading, I don't think it's like a hugely controversial thing. People said, you know, Liston quit, but listen, you're getting beat up by a guy who told you he's going to beat you up. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes you get in there with a guy and you think
sometimes people quit.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. Sometimes you get in with a guy that you think you're gonna destroy. Maybe you didn't train 100%, maybe not. I don't know. But you think you're gonna destroy this guy, and then you get in there, and all of a sudden, this guy's a lot bigger than you thought he was. He was a lot faster. He's not afraid of you. He's talking to you. You know, that's a demoralizing thing, especially for a guy who was a bully like Sonny was.
He wasn't used to that.
Right, of course not. You know, and you know, it's almost like, you know, you're in shock. And the thing is, I mean, you watch that fight, Ali was ripping Liston up. I mean, he wasn't like, you know, Liston wasn't looking for a chance to fall down because he was
ripping Liston up after he got his eyes back, because in the early round he couldn't see. He was getting the shit kicked out of him. Then once
you can imagine that Liston had probably never in his life been spoke to like that.
No. The eye thing was only one round.
Yeah, it was one round.
That was at the end, right before it ended.
Yeah, it was right before it ended. But no, Ali looked good. You know, Ali came out in the first round and he caught Sonny quickly. I thought, here's the thing. I thought growing up, it was a much tougher fight, you know, from what I read and stuff. But Ali looked very good. And I'll tell you what.
Did he look good enough to make Sonny quit for real, though? It wasn't physical, it was mental, right? Or could it have been a mob thing?
I mean, they say he had the story is this. He had an injured shoulder. He went into the fight, and that's what was on Ali's glove, was the liniment that they were rubbing on his shoulder to try and help him with the pain or whatever, you know?
I don't care
Vapor
who you
rub.
are. I don't care if your name's Rocky Balboa. I don't care if you're Arturo Gatti. I don't care. Every human being, every fighter has the ability to quit. There is some circumstance out there that can make you quit. So
you have a breaking point.
There is a breaking point, and every fighter has it.
Right. And
every fighter might not have it on the same night either.
But it's not always physical. It could be part physical, part psychological. But I think Sonny didn't want to get beat up worse. Because look, a guy like Ali, he's going to get better. Every round, he's going to get better. And Sonny can feel that this man is bigger than I thought he was. He's hitting harder and faster than I thought he was. And he's catching me. And he's now his adrenaline is sky high. And I think, you see when they stopped the fight, you see Ali was doing the shuffle and he was full of energy.
Yeah.
I think Sonny didn't want to go and find out what was going to happen 3 rounds later. I don't think
he broke Sonny psychologically. John, do you think he broke him psychologically? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he got in his, but physically as well, the whole package. I think Sonny just didn't want to get brutalized by this kid.
He probably never been spoken to like that by a young
right,
punk.
of course.
Sonny was a brute.
Dude, he wasn't a pussy though. So he was a bad motherfucker, and he hadn't been beaten up that bad. So him not getting off that stand at that round seemed a little odd at that point, because the brutality that he had taken and the emotional abuse, it did not warrant not getting up off the stool on that round.
But you can't say that. I mean, you're not taking those.
That's true. That's true.
And after the fight, one of Liston, I forget who, one of the people close to him said, Sonny told him, I didn't think Ali could hit that hard. I was surprised at how hard the kid was punching. And you see Liston's eye was jammed up. That was getting worse. I mean, it's no fun. Like, as tough as you are and everything, it's no fun to get beat up. And it's no fun to get
beat up, and it's no fun to get demoralized.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you got a kid who's going to just ridicule you and make fun of you, and now he's going to talk to you,
he wasn't slowing down.
But this is a heavyweight title fight. You're the champ. I mean, you would have had to have been in bad shape for that to happen.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Oh, you're the champ. Well, go in there and take those punches. I mean, it sounds good. It sounds good to say that,
Yeah.
But, you're getting pounded by a kid who's 22 years old, and he's full of confidence, and and who knows what he's saying. Back then they didn't have the microphones on the referees here.
Taunting
who knows what he's saying to Sonny in there?
Well,
becoming more emboldened every round.
I'm just saying the feelings hurt part would probably be, less important with those stakes at hand than, if you're in front of your girlfriend in a, it seemed.
A guy, if they fought 24 hours later, Sonny might have been in a different mindset. Like, literally, every fight in the history of this earth is decided by the mentality of the guy on that night.
What I'm saying is, fight 1 and fight 2 are both under controversy, and then Liston actually said that he was earning money off of laying down for Ali, and then he was dead and killed. He was pretty much obviously murdered, and probably by the mob.
He didn't. He died 6 years later. It wasn't.
Well, they said he was doing needle work, and he was completely afraid of needles. So there are other people that would have wanted him dead. But
a lot of this.
He was involved in a lot of shit.
That's what I said. He was involved in everything.
He was running his mouth saying that he was involved with
living
this.
in Vegas. Back then, Vegas was Vegas. He's involved with all the bad guys. You know what I mean?
But
his contracts are owned by mobsters.
How does this? How does Ali?
Was that the St. Louis mob?
Huh?
It would have been the Vegas mob, I guess.
Was he from St. Louis?
I believe originally from St. Louis. I believe.
Yeah.
Like, I think he grew up in Arkansas, and then he ended up.
Wow.
He was in a lot of places. Sonny was.
He was in and out of prison. He was in. He came from a rough side of life.
At one point.
So my theory, and again, it could be total bullshit, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. Ali has moved into this deity, and if you look at his career, he was an underdog a lot, got his ass kicked a lot, came out on top when he was supposed to lose, and got his ass kicked a lot. And I think that endears itself to boxing fans in the same way that the movie Rocky endears itself to regular people. It was an underdog story, came out on top. at his peak. You watch Ali, his skills are phenomenal, but that wasn't always the way he performed in the ring. Sometimes he was just a guy getting the shit kicked out of him that came back and won, like brutalized.
Well, that's I'll tell you one time when that is absolutely a myth, and I mean
which
myth.
part?
George Foreman.
Yeah.
I grew up under the impression that he was getting massacred round after round, and he finally got George tired. And
the rope-a-dope strategy.
And, right. You watch the fight, and I'm like, man, Ali's ahead. He's winning this fight probably 5 rounds to 2 at the time the fight got stopped.
Yeah.
You know, Ali, I believe the only time Ali got beat up, really beat up, other than Holmes, which you can't even count.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Frazier in the first fight, which was
what's funny is Ali people love to discount the fact he got beat up by Holmes, and the same people that dislike Tyson like to discount the fact that he kicked Holmes's ass. It's it does happen both ways. Like the Ali people are like, don't talk about Holmes here. The same people are like, Tyson isn't that good. They're like, don't talk about Tyson whipping Holmes's ass. They both like to remove Holmes from the equation.
Yeah, but check it out. Holmes after Tyson won some big fights.
Holmes wasn't even fighting at the time. He didn't even take a tune-up when he fought Tyson.
You need a tune-up after 40 years of being or 34 years of being a pro.
Well, I'm assuming that you never fought pro by that stage.
No, I'm with you.
Well, please.
This guy spent his whole life. He spent his whole life in the ring. I mean, maybe he's like, you know what? I'm going to take a payday. Okay. All right.
Larry Holmes had some. Larry Holmes defeated Ray Mercer and some other big fighters after the Tyson fight, right?
Right, but he had tune-up fights and he kept busy.
Yeah.
I used to have a tune-up fight after a month break. After a month off.
You can't come back and fight Mike Tyson without a tune-up fight. Now that's just freaking crazy. You know, but like I say, Ali, I think he gained a lot of fans in losing to Joe Frazier, because people remember he get knocked down in the 15th round, right?
Yep.
That was nothing. The 11th round was horrible. Ali making it through the 11th round of that first fight was a miracle, how he made it through. That and getting up from that knockdown, because he didn't just get up. He got up from a Titanic punch late in the fight. He's exhausted. He didn't even let the referee start counting. He was up immediately. Nobody does that. Nobody would do that. But getting through that 11th round, you go to YouTube right now, tonight after this interview, watch the 11th, forget the 15th, watch the 11th round of the first fight and tell me who else makes it through that round.
We were talking last episode about standing 8 counts have kind of gone the way of the wind, and they should. It's a very bizarre thing for combat sports for a ref to give you a standing 8 as opposed to, you know what I mean? What do you think about the standing 8 in boxing, and have you seen it recently? Are we losing our mind?
In years, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in years. It's kind of gone away. But remember, it existed. They basically say you're knocked out, but we're going to give you a few seconds to determine how knocked
it's
out
only
you really
in certain states. It's only in certain states. Like they still have it in certain states. I don't know which ones they do, but it's only in certain states.
What do you think?
You don't see it in the big venues.
Yeah, you don't see it.
Whatever the big boxing venues are, Vegas, whatever.
It's a good thing not to have in the sport. I mean, if you really have to have a ref determine if you're able to actually walk away in 8 seconds, the fight should have been over. It's kind of the basis. So Jimmy set me up for this. I think your answers are beautiful as usual, John. I love being wrong when I talk to you. I do think that there's a strange cloud of mob activity over, not Ali, but, there were people that said that the Muslim Brotherhood sort of came in and worked with the mob for those first few fights. But Ali, if that were the case, he redeemed himself afterwards. It wasn't fake. The fighting ability, you can't fake that. And I don't think that cloud belongs on him. So I'm glad Jimmy brought you on to sort of set that up. But I do think that Phantom Punch is a real punch, by the way. I've watched
listen,
it. That's a
watch
real
that
punch.
fight. You can see his chin snap to the right. That's how you get knocked out.
It's an incredibly fast, real punch for real.
Autumn. I mean, Sonny couldn't fake that. You can't fake having your head jolt quickly to the side. That's a punch that caused that, and it was quick and it was hard.
And to those fans that were unfortunate enough to be there to think that it was fixed and yell "fix, fix, fix," they watched, I think, one of the greatest snap rights that they'll ever see, and in history they'll ever see.
Part of history now.
Most people, I'll be honest, and people can take it how they want, but most people at a fight, and especially in the first 3 rows, really don't know the sport.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. At the big fights, you see like at Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, the front row was Chevy Chase and Lonnie Anderson,
yeah.
Reynolds,
Dustin Hoffman.
They go to the event.
Frank Stallone. I'm throwing that out for Jimmy. He knows boxing.
Hey man, to be fair though, some of those people I know for a fact are real, true lovers of the sport. They're happy to spend their money to buy every size piece.
That's more of an appearance. You're there like, oh,
I get that certainly.
Who was at the fight? Oh, he was, like you see all the big fights in Vegas, and you see these people in the front row, and I'm looking at the lady with the $50,000 fur coat, and I'm like, she doesn't even know who these guys are. Like she has no idea.
The guy who brought her there does though.
Yeah,
because he likes the fights.
Right. So the real boxing fans are in rows 10 and back.
Oh yeah,
that's true. Well,
you're so right. It's fascinating, man, to see those ladies in the front, like the first 2 or 3 rows, and they're like staring straight ahead, wide eyed. Like, do they even know where they're at?
Hey, let me tell you a quick story, right? Quick story. I was at a fight in New York, and I'm working the corner. So the front row, is right behind me. And there's a guy there. It was almost like a cartoon. Like he looked like a mafia guy. And he's a little bit older. Not really old, but he's a little bit older. And he had a young blonde with him, who didn't know anything. And I could hear him telling her, like it's almost like a cartoon. Like he's telling her why the guy's jabbing, and he's explaining the finer points of the game to her, and she doesn't know. And he's doing that, but he's insulting the fighters, and it's so brutal that at one point I tell the guy working the corner with me, I said, I'm gonna go say something to this guy. He turns around. Listen, he turns around. He says, no, not that. Don't say anything to that guy. Don't say anything to that guy. He knew who he was. I'm not gonna tell you who he was, but he goes, you'll end up buried in a field somewhere if you say anything to that guy out of pocket. And I'm like, man, all right. And I knew once he said the name, I knew who he was.
Yeah.
But I didn't recognize him. But my point is, he was just there to be seen and to pretend to this girl that he was this boxing expert. But he was insulting the fighters so bad that I felt compelled to say something. Luckily, my friend knew who he was, and he warned me not to say anything.
John, has anybody ever been, because you look like, there's certain people that look like fighters and that don't. You look like somebody not to mess with, like just generally. Has anybody ever made a bad mistake earlier in your life, and gone out, this guy, let me try him? Or people pretty much can tell that you're not somebody to fuck with?
I'll tell you a funny thing.
Yeah.
I think, well, I know because it happened. Like you can sense someone. If you're face to face with a guy, you get a sense as a man. You get a sense of what he's about, even though if you don't know him, right?
Yeah, that's what I can sense right now, even through this thing that you're not to be fucked with. Yes.
Well, here's what it is. I remember one night it was one of my fights. I was out with my trainer and my girlfriend at the time, and at a place downtown where a lot of people hang out, a lot of rough people hang out at this one spot, right?
Yep.
And we're in there. Now the girl I was with, she had a phenomenal body. Like she had a phenomenal body.
Like Mike Sawyer's body.
Anybody that saw her,
Like Mike Sawyer's hair.
That's what they remember about her. And there was these young guys. I was about 25. There were some guys about 22, 23, you know, kind of like street guys, you know, and they're there hanging out. She walks by and she was in front of me, so they didn't realize I was with her. And one of them said something to her and she kept walking, and he reached out and grabbed her, like her arm.
Ooh.
And I went and I put my finger on his chest. I said, you don't want to do that. And I'll never forget, he looked at me and he literally immediately went, all right. He put his hands up. He said, all right, man. All right. Damn. And I was like, man, he's with like 5 guys and I'm with 1 guy. But something in my face must have told him it's the wrong day.
It's the crinkled eyebrow and the intensity. It's just a natural part of what you got.
I don't know what it was, but I just, because it happened on the spur of the moment.
So your face has basically stopped more fights than it's ever started.
Well, but here's the thing. I had a close call one time. I was in a bar. A friend of mine owned a bar, and I was a fighter at the time. And this big kid, he looked like a football player. And at the time, I had my head shaved really, really low, like a really buzz cut. And I had a baseball hat on. And this kid, he's like a college kid, football player or something. And he sees me. He obviously doesn't know who I am. And he reached up to grab my hat, like to take it off so he could look at my head, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. And I reached up and I grabbed his arm, and I'm just looking at him like right in his eye. And we're 6 inches apart. And some kid next to him really quickly, like leaned in and whispered something to him.
Yeah.
And he backed off. So I've always assumed the kid must have told him,
he's a pro fighter.
That's the fighter.
Don't
That's
fuck
the fighter.
with him.
You don't want to do that. Yeah. So luckily the kid was there because he averted something.
Yeah,
I'll piggyback on that about. Yeah. I've said this about Jimmy before on here. From across the room, I wouldn't look at Jimmy and see him as being an intimidating person. But as soon as you get closer, get past the prettiness or whatever, when you get closer to him, you can kind of see it. You can see that Jimmy got a fighter.
I'll be honest, and I've never told him this, but Jimmy, when I saw him on the TV show, The Contender, and I'm like, he's a good-looking kid. He's kind of got that Elvis thing going on, and that country thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And good-looking kid and the whole nine. But then when I got to know him a bit and talking to him, and you get a feel for someone, and I met his father, and really his father, maybe even more than him, I know the type of family, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the type of upbringing, I could see it, I could feel it. And I know Jimmy is a good looking kid and stuff, but I know Jimmy's not a guy that really play around with.
No, that whole family's a bunch of, I call them the Hatfields and McCoys. You don't want to fuck with that whole family. That whole family's up to shit we don't even know about. On this podcast, there's some weird shit going on there.
The fact that Jimmy's pretty at all is a pure fluke, man. He's come up rough.
Shit, man, this is better than a goddamn therapy session. I'm gonna walk out of here with my head swell up.
You should, man. You should. That's all. And I figured that, John. I figured you probably hadn't been in many street fights because you carry yourself, A, with respect for everybody, but B, you don't look like somebody you'd want to fight with.
Hey, you know what else John don't do?
Yeah. Doesn't talk shit.
Do? He doesn't drink.
Oh, he's not out in terrible situations either.
I've never tasted alcohol in my life.
Jesus, you should sniff some glue tonight and make yourself.
You got some vices though. What's your vice? Iceman? Come on, man.
That's true. Do you have a vice? Like dead serious?
I've never seen drugs up close in my life. I don't even know what marijuana looks like. I have no idea. I've never seen it.
Everybody knows what it looks like. You see it on TV.
I have no idea.
Certainly, you know what it smells like, right?
I mean, I've walked by, you know, but here's the thing.
Smells
I
good,
saw
actually. I
My
don't
whole
smoke it much.
life,
Yeah.
my whole life,
Where'd I leave that?
I thought marijuana looked like powdery or grainy or something, but I saw a picture of it online literally a couple months ago, and it looked almost like a chunk of something. So I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it looks like. I'm honest. I don't know if it's hard or soft or powdery or
It can
what,
be.
and I
It
don't
can
care.
be.
Like
It
I
can be
honestly,
hard. It could be soft. It could be multiple colors.
Listen,
There's a
if you
lot.
made it this far in life without having a
That's
vice
amazing.
to take your
Yeah.
time and your money, then that
oh
is
man,
amazing. Yeah,
listen.
definitely.
But people tell me like, oh, that's really cool. You don't do drugs, right? You don't drink. I said, listen, don't even give me credit because I've considered those things as much as I've considered jumping head first off the Empire State Building. Like it's never come across my table. I've never entertained the idea at all. So
John, are you
Lucky you
a
on
man?
that.
Are you a man of God? Like, is this a God?
No,
Are you?
I'm not. I'm not religious at all. No,
Really?
I just, you know what? I'll be honest. I'll be completely honest.
Go for
When
it.
I was a kid, I read Muhammad Ali's autobiography, and in it, he said he didn't do drugs, he didn't drink alcohol, and literally, you know, I was like 10 or 11. I was 11, and literally, I was saying to myself, well, everybody loves this guy. Like he's the greatest guy on earth. He's on TV all the time, and he, you know, everybody talks about him. I said, well, if he doesn't need that stuff, I certainly don't need it. And that was it. Like I made up my mind right then.
Fucking amazing, man.
Well, that's like one of the most amazing sort of testimonials I ever heard. Just in that little blurb you just gave, as far as like he didn't do it, so I didn't. That's pretty fucking amazing.
Role models are real, right? Kids don't have role models anymore. They really don't.
I never had a role model. I've kind of, as an adult, started to try to find, you know, moral role models to help me make better decisions with my words or what my actions. And that's amazing that you found it at that age, you know, through Ali, of all people. So what vice do you have? Do you have midget porn, like anything fun along those lines? You know, anything weird?
I mean, I'll be honest, completely honest.
Go for it.
And I'm amazed that it's even a thing, but I've never watched porn on my computer in my life. And
so your phone is
I'll be honest, the last time I remember seeing porn, I was about 17. And I remember watching.
That would have been Ginger Lynn's heyday. Go ahead, sorry.
But look here's the crazy thing. I remember watching these guys. I was with some guys, we're hanging out at the house, and the guy put it on, and everybody's watching it, and they're literally like really hyped up, and I'm looking at them from a you know an outsider's perspective, and I go, these guys look crazy. Like
this
they look
so
crazy,
gay, right?
watching these girls that are not even real. Like they're never gonna meet these girls in their lives. And I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I did, you know.
So true, man. You're lucky you figured it out early. A lot of us figured it out way later after we've already enjoyed a lot of that.
I was looking at my friends with their mouths open, looking at a TV screen, and I'm going, "You don't even know this girl's name. Like, what are you doing?" And so I can't fiend after somebody that I know I have no chance to get. That's why I never went to strip clubs, because I know the girls don't like me. They just want money. You know, I know that these girls aren't, you know, my friend, we went one time, my friend's like, I think she likes me. And I'm like, listen, man, you're holding a stack of $51 bills. She likes that. Come on, man, what are you doing?
Shit, they'd be better off. They'd be better off getting you in there if they told you how great a fighter you were.
Right, man, right. But look,
at least you're hearing something you want to hear.
It's their job to make you think that they like you. That's their job. Come on, man.
Sometimes they do, for real, but very rare. John, so
and when listen, I've experienced the rare few who really do like you. And I can tell you that
either way,
that's the reason why I have 5 children by 3 to 4.
I think the real lesson.
Hey, John, that's. Do you see that's what they can do. That's how good these strippers that Sandra was going to. He believes that they like him.
Right.
I know I like them at the time.
Listen, there's something magical here going on. John Scully is the most moral human in the world. There's no vice.
He might
here.
well be. He might be like the ultimate do-gooder, man.
We
didn't even talk about his
by the
charity
way,
work for helping out people and shit.
Literally,
We haven't even touched on that, and he's already
not,
the biggest do-gooder
even
I ever heard of.
he's not even religious, and
He don't
he's
even
out
love the
there
Lord.
doing
Look at him.
Jesus's work in a non-religious way, and just not doing the wrong thing across the word, not
And
kicking
you know what?
people's asses.
And he hangs
that
around a
don't
bunch of
deserve.
scallywags in the boxing community.
But
And he
hey,
about it.
Scully,
guides them in the right way. Yeah.
Scully, don't you raise pit bulls though?
Oh snap!
Nah,
Fuck them
I'm
pit
not
bulls.
a fan of pit bulls, man.
Oh,
No,
brother,
fuck
listen, this
at
man
all.
is a saint on earth. You just
Don't-
listen. This man is
Don't get him
I
started.
plan to build a statue in his honor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This dude wants to kill every pit bull. I said, look, your family's Vietnamese. They'll eat them. Just make them
Oh.
tasty.
That's my wife's family.
Listen,
It's
I
your
know
family.
this much. Literally 99 out of 100 times, if I see a headline that says dog kills owner, dog kills neighbor, dog
Pit
mauls
bull.
child, I already know it's a pit bull. Like 99 out of 100 times, it's a pit bull.
It's such common sense. I don't understand why anybody doesn't see that. It's like, what the
Dog-
fuck is
dog-
wrong?
Crazy.
Dog robs the gas station. Fucking pit bull.
Sometimes it's a dachshund that just gets real
Never.
ornery.
It's like
Takes out
crazy, man.
baby.
Come on, man.
So, John, what do you do that's fucked up so that we can make people feel better about themselves?
Yeah, we
Anything
don't want
you've
everybody to
done-
think you're like,
What's the most fucked up thing you've done in the last week? Anything weird? Anything? Did you piss on a toilet seat or something and not wipe it?
hey, man, what do you
Hey.
think of a girl's feet? What do you think about a girl's feet, man? For real. She gotta have nice feet.
I've
What?
never been a foot guy.
That's
I've never
my
been a
man.
foot guy.
See, you're
Yeah.
a fucking Sandra. You're fucking with your feet, you weird motherfucker.
I'm just
staring at
testing the waters, bro.
Wait, I found something. Aren't you Canadian or something? You're Canadian, aren't you? No, shit, you're from New Hampshire. Fuck.
No,
It's the same
Connecticut,
thing.
right?
It's the exact same.
New England, I mean, New England.
Yeah, I'm a New England guy.
It's southern
He's up there,
Canada.
man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought maybe
Connecticut,
he
man.
was maybe he was Canadian. We'd get him on that.
Nothing.
No,
There's
no
nothing
such
to
luck.
get him on. There's nothing to get him on. John Scully, you are the man, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your what you do for the sport, what you do as a human, in the ring, out of the ring, legend all across the board. Thank you for gracing us tonight. Drive safely, because I know you're driving in your car. Don't fucking wreck. We don't need we don't need your blood on the hands and of this great mediocre
Right, I gotcha.
podcast. Would,
No, I'm on a side street. I'm just going to the end of the street. There's nobody on the street.
stay blessed, brother. We appreciate you, and we're gonna shut this down. And thanks for setting the record straight on the great Muhammad Ali, and who set you straight. And everybody
Yeah,
have a
that's
great
something.
night. And
Thanks
on
for
to the
having
next
me. I
one.
appreciate it.
Congratulations on Beterbiev, and off to the Bivol. We'll
Yes, sir.
catch up with you before that one. All right, brother.
Your percentage is gonna go up.
God
Hey,
bless
John, I'm
everybody.
gonna
Have
get
a
with
great
you,
night.
sir. John.
Yeah. I'm here.
I'm gonna give you a call in the next week. I want to talk to you about my son. Okay.
All right. Let me know.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys.
All right, guys. Be good.
Peace. Bye-bye.